Nobody ever fucking comments. So comment what your favourite part of this podcast is. If you've got any questions for Henry, comment below. Like the video, please. That's really, really helpful as well. Yeah, so subscribe on YouTube. Yeah, if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure to follow me and leave a 5-star review, please. That would help me out massively. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. This is Chatzzz episode 14, I believe. I think it is episode 14. I think the last episode was with Leah Sachs. So we've got a new backdrop, believe it or not. Yeah. So we've had the Dubai background, we've had multiple other backgrounds, we've had my back garden, and now we're in beautiful Marbella with the man himself, Henry Berry.
All right, we're here, mate. Welcome to Marbella.
Yeah, so
it's about time.
I know it has. It's been about 5 months too late.
The attempts, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I've had a bit of a nightmare today because basically, on the way to Marbella, when I was checking to the airport on security, I left my GoPro in the car. So
one fundamental kit for you as a vlogger, podcast guy.
Yeah,
it's all right.
So there's an hour and a half to go, and then the person I'm with on this trip was like, "Oh, you don't need it, do you?" I was like, "I would be miserable the whole trip if I don't have this." So I went back, got the bus back again, but I was too embarrassed to tell the bus driver why I was going back. So I said, "I forgot my passport."
What's the skeezer doing? Yeah. It's more embarrassing to leave a passport than GoPro their passport. Yeah.
So right. I'd forgotten my passport and my GoPro, so went back, got that, got through with like half an hour to spare, which is fine. Got to Marbella and realised I'd left my podcast cable. So you see this podcast cable that's plugged in here? I've been
Spanish.
It's from Marbella. This is the second one. I've been getting Ubers back and forth all day trying to find this. But we're here with the main man, Henry Berry. And
made it.
The way we do it now is I try and get the guests to introduce themselves or how you'd like to be introduced. So how would you introduce yourself to a stranger?
I think first of all, I'd be like, "Hi guys, I'm Henry. Pleasure to meet you. I'm a typical northerner, cheeky, charming, ambitious. Redheads, not everybody's taste, but there's not many of us, so I enjoy it."
That's cool.
About it.
That's a nice introduction. So that's Henry, and the way I've prepped you, everyone always is like, what do I say? But the 3 facts about yourself, I don't know them yet, so you have to tell me what your 3 facts are.
All right, 3 facts. I was born in Blackpool, but I often tell people I was born in Preston because it's slightly better than being from Blackpool. Sorry guys. I formerly raced in downhill ski racing for Great Britain, which is something I'm quite proud of, when I was 15. And I spent 5 years working on cruise lines as a personal trainer. So 3 facts about me.
Oh, very, very interesting. Yeah. So why Blackpool, Preston? What's the difference, and why do you say one?
Because one football team's slightly better than the other. And on the rating of UK cities of which are the shittest in the UK, Blackpool's pretty far down, so I just upgrade myself there a little bit. It's like a Tinder profile. I'm actually 5'7", but 5'8.5" on Tinder. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but isn't Blackpool like the Las Vegas of England? Or am I making that up?
I mean, it sounds like it could be. There's got enough gambling and illuminations. So.
Yeah, but one thing, going backtrack actually, I've got to say, Henry is probably my oldest friend in the world.
Mate, I think for you as well. I mean, we're going back now. We're 26 this year, which is a bit scary.
Yeah,
it's all right, embracing it. And then 3-4 years old?
3-4 years old.
Bridge, back in the day. Yeah.
I know.
Longest standing friends.
Yeah, so that's like 22, 23 years of friendship, and we haven't. It's not like we speak all the time, or we've been speaking all them years, is it?
Yeah.
But it's always like, when we see each other, it's like never.
It's like we see each other 5 minutes ago. I think every catch we've had over the last couple of years, it's as if nothing's changed since those days. Obviously, we have a lot, and I think that's why we keep in touch with each other, because we are very much on the same mindset. But it's always good to see your mates doing well and keeping close, mate.
Yeah. So I just thought I'd interject that because it's an important part.
Mate, it's key. It's crucial.
Exactly.
Long-term friendship.
The second one. What was the second one? The skiing.
Yeah, skiing.
Yeah, so you were really, really into skiing, weren't you? Secondary school, you were really...
Secondary school, it's sort of in between the time of getting better at rugby as well. So they were sort of clashing against each other. But I've sort of grown up, very lucky to go on skiing holidays with the family. Got picked up when I was about 13. Actually, some of my French instructors pushed me towards the racing side. I did a few just amateur races in the resort where we stayed, and one guy came up to me and said, listen, I actually work in the British Ski Academy. We've seen your son, smash it today. Like, what club does he race for? And the parents said, well, if he doesn't, it's like, well, listen, we need to set up a meeting. We've got our director for the academy coming in a few days, had a conversation, and then, decided to get into a bit of downhill racing when I was 13, 14.
Yeah, it's always like, we were very sporty, weren't we, growing up, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I'd say professionally skiing is not like the norm.
No, and I think as well, like even now, it's a very much considered amateur sport. So a lot of I still follow it now, I'm big into it, but not so much race anymore, more just recreation. But you see sort of all the top athletes now, like Dave Ryder, he's one of the top guys for Britain at the minute. All of the families are properly sort of private school backgrounds. They need to have a lot of money to get you there, because it's such an amateur sport. There's not a lot of funding behind it. And I think at the time that I kind of got into it and picked up, that there wasn't enough behind it. Because I got into the game quite late. I mean, some of the guys were in the academy since they were 6, 7 years old. Yeah, I was starting quite late. So for one of those kind of sports, you really got to have that I guess financial backing behind you with sponsorship, and the talent and the time behind it. So I was a little behind in getting there, but had a good two seasons into it, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And then I think, as you probably found as well, getting into sport and that sort of 13 to 16, there's so much sport happening in front of you, like rugby, football, cricket, and I think the easier option at the time was to get stuck into the rugby back at home. So, yeah.
And then obviously the cruise ships as well. But I think we'll talk a bit more about that later on.
Yeah.
A bit to talk about, isn't it?
Couple of years, couple of good stories there.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was saying to you earlier, wasn't I, that a few of the guests say wouldn't have done as much as you have in the short period of time.
Yeah.
Life experience wise, I think. So I think it's definitely more valuable to go into that a bit more in depth later on, and then maybe just go back into like what you were like growing up as a kid. And obviously I think people always find it interesting to see where you are now.
Yeah.
To what like moments in your life have maybe been like the flick of the switch to maybe transition on to the next phase of your life, because we're getting old. No, not old, but older.
Older, mate, slowly. Long way off old.
Older.
4 years where we're fine.
Older now, and I'd like to think we're getting some decent life experience behind us, and maybe some younger people who are watching the podcast maybe think like whatever they do now is what they have to do forever. And I think you're the prime example of
completely agree.
If you can be whatever you want to be, as long as you put your mind to it and you've got a bit of drive and ambition behind it. So what would you say you were like growing up? Say when we obviously, because being friends or whatever. So what would you say you were like as a person? Well, not a person, but a child.
Yeah.
Growing up.
I think to kind of give it a brief but detailed kind of overview looking back, so I'm quite reflective now, especially, and have been the last couple of years, which I think has helped kind of push the current success. But to kind of look back, I think as a kid, I was very introverted. I mean, as much as, we used to hang out together and be part of different clubs in school and everything, I think as a kid, I was very much self-conscious, and I'd probably say quite lacking in confidence to really look at it. So I would often spend a lot of time whether it was at home, just out down in the village, or just in smaller friend groups, I guess, just because that was where I felt comfortable. I think on the flip side of that, became very independent very quickly. And both my parents were often working all the time and doing business trips. So I was often, I would say, left at home alone for any of the parents out there that are frown upon it. But, I was often in situations where I would just be by myself, looking after myself. And I think I became very used to that. So if I look at that sort of where I am now, I think in terms of confidence and self-confidence being key, massively changed. But as a kid, I was very much conscious of my surroundings. I'd be relatively shy in situations. I didn't like to meet that many new people because I felt uncomfortable. Like, oh, will I fit in? Will people like me? I don't play football. I play more rugby. Can I speak to the football guys? I was very, I think, quite shy and introverted back as a kid growing up, which has been a massive changing point from there.
Yeah. And I think it's always important, isn't it? Especially like, say, when we're getting older, is to be more self-reflective and be more self-aware of where you are now and where you've been and that kind of thing. And so I think it's important, like, for you to say that, and it's quite cool, I think, just for you to say, oh yeah, I'm quite introverted, because I feel like anyone that, I think it'll just hit puberty, you know?
30's hitting hard.
Just hit puberty at 26. I've kind of lost my trail of thought there, but I was going to say, a lot of people would maybe say that, oh yeah, I'm really extroverted and stuff, and you're like, are you really, or are you just saying that kind of thing? Because I'd say probably now I enjoy my own company more than I probably do in other people's company, but I think that's just because that's what I'm used to now, because I spend all my time on my laptop as a keyboard warrior. But like you say, with you, even though maybe you were left at home alone more, but we also used to have sleepover and shit all the time, didn't we, when we were growing up? But like that independence, that's quite cool, because where you are now, isn't it? You're very, I'm going to do that. Don't care what anyone else thinks. Don't care who's there. I'm just going to do it no matter what.
Yeah, man. I think that transition to look at was massive for me, especially sort of going to my later years, do like GCSEs and sixth form, that sort of 16 to 18. Even though I've came out of the shell a lot more, because I've been, getting better at rugby in more sporting environments, and especially when people know you for being good at something, especially growing up, people like you for it. Whether they actually like you or not, it's, oh, he's one of the rugby lads, so he's cooler than other people, how it is in school. So I think to go through that transition and look at the last couple of years of school and sixth form, and to be honest, I think, because when I was towards that time of sort of, okay, what's next? Whether it's uni or work, I had no fucking idea what I wanted to do. I've always been into sports. I think the plan was to maybe do a ski season and a gap year somewhere, but I just knew that I didn't want to go to uni if I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I think I had a lot of indecision around me. I think my grades at the time weren't fantastic, so the university option wasn't really there. So I think looking back, I was never really one to be great at studying, but if you told me to tell someone about it or to speak about what I know, I'd be very good. But then I wasn't a great public speaker. So I think with the shyness. So it was one of those situations where I'm like, I know I'm quite intelligent. I know I can pass these exams, but not by sitting down for 3 hours writing an essay and answering questions. I don't think I was built to just sit down and pass an exam. So I think looking at now, especially how I'm working these days and what I've achieved with pretty shit grades at school, it's quite a different dynamic from what you kind of grow up and you're told to do, and everyone goes to uni or everyone goes to get a job and crack on, where I never really knew what I wanted to do and just sort of took down a route what I enjoyed, which was personal training from there.
Do you think, like, I always say this to lots of people, but to ask, like, say, a 16-year-old or maybe an 18-year-old what they want to do is an impossible question.
No, I think at any age, actually, I'm quite selling this even at the minute. Obviously, I'm working my way now and where I'm at, and we'll get onto the cruise ship stuff in a minute. But I think you shouldn't limit yourself to just one thing. I look at the amount of sort of career path changes I've had dramatically the last few years, and if you asked me when I was 16, would you think you'd do this or achieve what you've achieved or be in this environment? I'd be like, well, I've got no idea, because the path was never there. So I think there's no way you can ask someone at 16, 17 for them to 100% know that's what they want to do for the rest of their life. I get it. If you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, something you need a degree for, or it's in the family, or that's just where your passion is at the age, you follow it and you go down that route. But I think now, probably more than ever, to not know what you want to do is absolutely fine. Because a lot of the things, and I think you're the same as me in that sort of path where you found yourself doing what you do now, you've kind of just done things you've enjoyed. You've taken opportunities that have been in front of you at the time, not knowing where they take it, and just saying, yeah, why not? Take the opportunity and make a lot of mistakes along the way. I think to be open that you're going to fuck up, you're probably going to fail, it's not going to go well the first time is the best thing to be at that age, because you've got the rest of your life to keep making mistakes and find out where you want to go. To be honest,
I think that's such a valid point, and especially, like you say, if you don't know what you want to do, you should just try stuff. I always say just try stuff.
Why not?
And if you don't like it, you just know you don't like doing that. So then you try something else.
One less thing to not like doing until you get a little bit closer. Well, actually, that wasn't bad. That was a bit better than what I was doing before. Let's do a bit more of this. And that's what I mean. I think that the pressure on people, especially when you're going through school and sixth form, to know exactly what you want to do, what you're going to earn, when you're going to buy your first house, get married, all that kind of normal society stuff that we grew up with. I think there's so much pressure on it, and it's like, you know what, just go out and just do something. If you don't like it, move on to the next thing. And it's not always easier. It's not always easy to just change direction, but why keep doing something that you genuinely don't enjoy, that you're not excited to get up for? Because then whether you keep doing it for a couple of years time, then you're just going to be more, you know, in dislike of yourself than anything else, than the actual job itself. So I was thinking, you know what, just have a sit down, ask yourself, am I excited in the morning to wake up and do this? Do I enjoy what I'm doing every day? If the answer is not absolutely yes, look at what you can do to change it.
And I think something you touched on there is just do it, like be a doer, that kind of thing. But I think that's where a lot of people fail, is that maybe they will say, oh yeah, I've got this idea, or I might try that, but they'll never actually try it. They'll give up before they start.
Have a lifetime of good ideas, but then that's all it ever is.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a million good ideas right now.
Yeah, I know.
But
I've had millions over the years, and some of them are paid off, some of them haven't. But
I mean, that's what I mean. Like, if you've got a good idea, but everyone's got good ideas, haven't they? At least try one, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, then use that as a lesson and move on to the next thing.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with that. And I always think, nobody else's idea is going to be as good as yours, because you create it. It came to your head first. So whatever led you down that thought path, or that, you know, that creativity, something in your mind said, you know what, I think it'd be great to start a podcast. Someone else might have said, oh mate, you might be good at podcasts. But that
Epiderm's never said that.
It's gone all right so far. didn't forget your cable or your GoPro. It's all right, you won't do it again. But that's learning failure. It's all good. But I think just go and do something. You know, the fear factor. Well, what if it goes wrong? Well, what if it does? You learn from it, and if it does go wrong, fine. Either back to where you started, or you've actually made progress because you've failed at something. You've seen what can happen, and then it gives you an opportunity to, well, do I react and get better? Or do I say this isn't for me and crack on? You know, I think that's the biggest thing. Just get your teeth stuck into something. Your idea will always be the best one because it's came from you. And if it doesn't work out, you'll think of another one, because it happens all the time. There's nothing worse than thinking back of, what if I did something? I actually have not a phobia, it's a bit strong, but I hate the thought of what if. Like, a lot of my thought process now is, if an opportunity comes to me today, I think, well, would I be able to do this tomorrow? If the answer is no, I'll seriously consider, let's just fucking do it today, because it's not going to come again. Yeah. You know?
And I think people these days are too scared to fail.
Mate, it's everywhere. I think that the fear of failing ruins so much potential.
Like a rejection and that kind of thing.
Like, if you like a girl, go and ask her out. What's she going to say? No. Okay, ask the next one out.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got
an numbers game, people.
Numbers game. Cast the net, far and wide.
You know why they're lucky men on the beach as well? It's a numbers game for them.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
But no, that's what I was going to say.
All those shorts were looking you. €20.
Yeah, no.
5 for 3.
But that's what I was going to say. People are too scared of failing or being rejected these days. And one thing my mum and dad have always told me is, you only regret the things you don't do. And I think that's stuck with me throughout my life. And I've tried to do as many things as possible, and they still haven't been proven wrong by me regretting things. Because even if you do something you don't enjoy it, like you say, you use it as a lesson and you learn. You don't make the same mistake twice as well, otherwise you're an idiot. So yeah,
he says getting 3 cables.
But yeah, moving on then, up to say school, and you say you didn't really know what you wanted to do. So at 18, say I went to uni, whatever. But 18, where did you kind of go from there, and what was kind of the thought process?
Sure. So 18, I remember it really clearly, because I think this was a massive...
Don't lie, it's ages ago now.
Man, as I'm scratching my head through the grey hairs that are coming through at nearly 26 in a few weeks. But yeah, so I think, it was a massive year for me. I think, reflecting on it again, it was really pivotal in terms of my next step. So the ski season, I think, in my head was a great idea, but then because I'd had so much competitive skiing, the idea of then going and training and doing it every day for a job rather than a hobby, I think clashed with me. So I took my next thing that I was, again, interested in, I was excited for, and I really got into the gym through the last couple of years of school, especially with the rugby. I just thought, you know what, I'll go get qualified as a personal trainer. I love fitness. I love doing one-to-one workouts. I was teaching a couple of classes, sort of freelance anyway, before I was qualified, just with friends who want to get into the gym. I think with the rugby squad, I always hosted a few fitness sessions just because I was into my fitness anyway. So it was a natural, sort of path to take. I don't know what I want to do. I don't want to go to uni and waste time and money if I'm not 100% set on it. So I took what money I had and put it into a PT course in the summer of when we finished school. And by the end of it, fully qualified, level 2, level 3 PT, went straight to work at my local gym. Remember the Crown?
That was my first ever gym.
Yeah,
went,
yeah, mate.
It was the first time I ever went to the gym, yeah.
Jesus.
You inducted me, I think.
No, I did.
I don't know officially, but we went together, yeah.
Yeah, mate.
I know. That shows how long our friendship is.
Man,
He introduced me to the gym.
Gym bros back in the day. And still massive. Hashtag massive.
I'm definitely not, but
tight shirt. But yeah, started off as a PT there. It was great for what it was. First job, close to home. And then, to be honest, I'll kind of fast forward a little bit, but I set up my own boot camp through Weatherall, Great Corby, Downegate Village Hall, local areas. So I was earning more, obviously doing a freelance class and just having a salary there. But it was a really good starting point. I think, like anything that was close to home at the time, there was super limitations on progression. And after a few months, I was wanting to do one-to-one PT at the club, grow the fitness side of it, had loads of ideas that would benefit me, benefit the team, benefit the club. And management was like, oh, well, you're new, you're young. We don't really do that here. That's not how we do things. Wouldn't entertain our conversation. So it led to me being very frustrated, which then led to me looking online one afternoon whilst I was at work. And through the company I qualified with, Premier Global, they had a job finder site. Popped up a personal trainer on a cruise ship. I was like, hang on, I thought cruise ships were for 80-year-olds, coffin dodgers, see the world one last time and come home. I didn't realize there was gyms there, that sort of thing. So one thing led to another, got an interview, went down there, and a few weeks after, got offered a position to work as a PT on a cruise ship.
That's so cool. Yeah. Because believe it or not, when I was 18, I was actually thinking about being a personal trainer because I was probably into the gym.
Yeah, mate, you were.
So it was either be a personal trainer because I would love all the fitness YouTubers and stuff, and I still do now, to be fair, or it was go to university and I wanted to do events, but I ended up doing events in hospitality. But obviously I shied away from the events and I was looking at doing the PT stuff. But yeah, sorry,
mate,
carry on.
What a different life it could have been.
I know, crazy.
We're in the world with our...
I could have been in shape.
fitness vlogs, mate. Doing boot camps around the world, terrorizing.
But yeah, so sorry, carry on until so you got offered the job in the cruise ship.
Yeah, so went down to the London Academy where they do the business course and sort of teach the group classes online board cruise ships. Went incredibly well. There's a massive amount of sales training, which I wasn't expecting through it. Huge amounts of public speaking. So to kind of give the job a bit of in a nutshell, is on board a cruise line as a personal trainer. Yes, of course, you're into the fitness, doing the classes, one-to-one stuff, but your sort of salary, and we were on commission for this, was to help sell detox products and also art supports for helping posture, back pain, knee pain. So through the academy, we had to learn about an hour-long seminar. So suddenly going from, okay, I've taught a few boot camps and classes, quite confident in that. I'm a lot more outgoing now. Suddenly stand up in a room full of 40 other personal trainers from around the world and go for a 45-minute public speaking seminar was scary. Well out the comfort zone.
How did you feel then transitioning from, say, living in, say, Carlisle in Cumbria to then moving on to the cruise ship and that?
I think it was something that came to me very naturally. And
why would you say that?
I think mentally, having seen, majority of friends leave for uni and everyone kind of leaving the home city and going away doing something, that was always part of the plan. I just didn't know what it was. So for me to make that leap, I mean, it was a pretty big one. It's not like I've just gone to Newcastle or Liverpool or even down to Cardiff a couple hours away. It's like, okay, you've got your ship, you're going to join in Barcelona, then you're sailing around Europe for the next 9 months on a cruise ship. It's a pretty huge leap for most people, myself included. But I think at the time I was ready to get out of the city, ready to go and do something completely for myself, by myself. And obviously, to kind of land that job, to kind of put it as it is, it was a dream.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting paid to literally travel the world, be in fitness, which was a massive passion for me at the time, still is now, but more as a hobby than a job. And then the balance with our company and the training is it was massive on sales and communication, which is a massive skill set, I think, for anyone to pick up, to be honest.
So how old were you then? About 19?
Yeah, I joined when I was 19. I actually remember the joining date. I finished training on November the 30th, 2015. And I was on the ship by 21st of December. Which is proper awkward because I'm joining the ship and everyone's been there. Suddenly it's Christmas and New Year and you're the new guy. So it's like, okay, hey guys, what we're doing for Secret Santa.
And then what actually appealed to you about that job in the first place then?
I think just the prospect of traveling, to be honest, because again, I was always going to, in my head, I was always going to do a gap year and do a ski season or to be away from home. So I think to look at the combination of it's within fitness, I'm getting paid, it's on commission. So then really the harder you work or the better you are, the more you pay, which is something that was massively motivating for me. And I'm traveling. I'm on a 5-star vessel with anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 guests on board. Just, lots of different cultures, everyone from all over. I just love that. I mean, the environment that we had, it's like university, but with the world there. It's just, it was a whole different experience.
Yeah. Then how did you find like acclimatizing to that environment? Like you say, being around so many guests and so many staff, and then say, even from when you were, say, little, you said you're more of an introvert, but obviously as time progressed throughout school, you became more self-confident and stuff like that. But it's like you say, it's a massive change, isn't it? So how did you find like settling into boat life, or what do you call it?
Ship life.
Or
ship life.
What do you say? We're living on land now.
Living on land and
living on.
Yeah, I would say ship life.
Yeah.
Any of my cruise ship friends who watch this, they'll immediately know from ship life. Yeah. Everyone else just get on board because that's how it is. Don't call it a boat because you'll piss a lot of people off. Ship life.
But yeah, how did you find acclimatizing to that environment?
Yeah, I think because of how intense the work is and how long the days are, you as soon as you get on board, you drop your bags off, you're into the first team meeting, here's your uniform, and you're starting work in an hour. So it's so intense from your first couple of days. I think you don't really realize the environment fully until after a few weeks when your body and your mind kind of settles down. But I think, again, it kind of goes back to my last few years in school. Obviously, I got a bit more confident. And for me, because I'd always kind of been quite shy and in small groups, as I gained confidence, I was genuinely friends with everybody. So I'd be friends with the rugby guys. I'd be friends with for example, people who'd be doing all the extra activities, like curriculum activities sort of stuff. I had friends from a lot of other schools. So by that point, I had a massive network of friends, loads of different schools. I was very outgoing. So for me to get on board the ship, and especially the confidence I got from teaching fitness classes, I have sort of 20, 30 people in my own boot camp that I set up by the end. So in that way, just being in front of people, I was more comfortable. And then the sales training, doing all the public speaking, doing the seminars, that had sort of really pushed it on. So I think for me, I adapted very quickly because I'd gone from being less introverted to being comfortable, just saying hi to people, being friendly, happy to meet new people and sort of get into that environment. So it was really quick for me. But I think the first couple of weeks that are so intense, you don't really have a chance to settle in. You just, it's go,
Can you remember what the first night sleeping away from home felt like?
Oh, it's horrific. Like literally the cabins are so small. I mean, if we look at the sofa I'm sat on, you're sharing a room. Like you got bunk beds. So you're sharing a room, someone you don't know, never met before. The cabin is probably the space of like most people's like ensuite bathroom if they go a small bathroom in the house, with the bathroom, the bed, the wardrobe, 2 people, 2 trainers, so we're not exactly small people. So the first night, I remember it so well because I literally lay there like, shit.
Is it like, what have I got myself into?
Like, have I done the right thing? Because I've got 9 months of this cabin. I've got 9 months on board. So it was quite daunting. I think any decision you make, especially like that, because it's a dramatic change of environment, there was a lot of doubts, a lot of questions. But I think the next couple of weeks, getting settled in and suddenly getting off the ship, having some time off, making some really good friends with people in the team, all the normal things when you adapt, it really settles you. Yeah, it was a rough first night.
So I was just going to say, I can relate to, say, my first night at university.
Oh, mate.
So when my dad drove me down to Cardiff and then moved all my stuff in, whatever, and then left me in my room, he's like, oh, I'm going now. I was just sat there in my room. I just remember thinking to myself, I can still picture myself now. It's like,
Yeah.
what do I do now? I was just sat there in my room, just like,
shit.
what do I do? Supposed different jobs that you got a job, but I was just like, what the fuck? I've just been left to my own devices.
Yeah.
I've never had it before. And it's just like you say, this, the world opens, isn't it? Like the world is your oyster. It's just exciting, isn't it? Quite overwhelming as well. But when you're that young, you're just keen to do anything, don't you?
I think it's that, that fearlessness of being that age. Like whether you're introvert, extrovert, whatever you've had before, you suddenly like, right, you've gone through school, you've had your mates, you've had your sports teams, you've had your family, you've had that structure or people or comfort, that comfort bubble around you. And suddenly you're dropped off at uni. I'm suddenly on a cruise ship sailing out of Barcelona, lying there like I am by myself.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah.
And I think that it's super important to go through, like whatever path anyone takes, like
helps you grow as a person.
Like it does that immediate independence of like, right, it's up to me now. I need to learn how to make my bed, wash my clothes, all that kind of normal shit that
all the fun stuff.
all the home comforts that you don't really get taught how to do, or you do, but you don't listen and pay attention. It's like, all right, okay, cool, let's go.
Yeah. So then, how did ship life progress then for you over the years you were there?
For me, and again, I'll touch on the public speaking and our goal as a trainer was really to make as much revenue for the company as we can. So we'd have sales targets per person, maybe like $5,000, $10,000 we need to make. So over my first year, I was incredibly successful for someone on their first contract. Did some really, really good revenue numbers, which was highlighted by a company. They moved me to a brand new ship halfway through my first contract to open it as the lead trainer, which was incredible. Normally it's sort of 2 or 3, 4 contracts and you get an opportunity. And I think I just enjoyed the role so much that I was thriving. And for me, it wasn't necessarily about the money I was making, it was about the recognition. Because we used to have leaderboards of like who was number 1 in the fleet. So for me, I'm like, I don't care how much I'm making for myself. I love hearing my name at number 1. Like that was a proper motivator for me. So I really pushed myself to get there every single week relentlessly. And as I was getting better, I was moving to better sort of ranked cruise ships, or where there was more opportunity, or just where there'd been high revenue in the past. And very quickly, mate, in my third contract, it'd be after maybe not even 2 years, I got a call from my director to say, listen, one of our supervisors of the fitness program is moving up, and your name's been shortlisted by a lot of people, including myself, who I want to replace you. We want you to become the operations manager for the whole fitness program. So bear in mind, I'm on 1 cruise ship as a trainer, 9 months on, go home for a few months, come back. Got the promotion, went very quickly, got on a flight to Miami. I had to take a 17-hour journey just to get out of Canada, then to Mexico, then to Miami. It was nuts for the sort of the training with my bosses in Miami. So very quickly I went from being 1 trainer or 2 trainers on 1 cruise ship to, right, Henry, next week you're in charge of 200 cruise ships. You've suddenly got 400 staff members, and we need to make a revenue target of $10 million plus per month. Off you go. So that was a massive step, and just very, very daunting.
Sorry, I would look at you more, but the sun's in my eyes. That's why I'm not looking at you.
Right. Just blinds you with my good looking gingerness.
I was going to say, slightly backtracking as well, was why do you want to be number 1, and where do you think you get that from?
I think that drive's always been there. I think it goes back to being quite shy and introverted, where I'd always want to do well, but when I was younger, I'd be embarrassed to take the risk to not do well. So I would not do things to avoid failing, because that was my character back then. I always wanted to go and attack it, but I didn't have the confidence in myself. Whereas when I got to this platform, again, I'm on a cruise ship, I'm in a whole different environment. I'm not literally now very independent. And I think I was in an environment where you can kind of recreate yourself. Like no one knew me at school, no one knew me. So I'm suddenly in this position where it's like, well, it doesn't matter what I was like before. Not that you know, faking it to make it. I was still myself, but I was suddenly in this position where I can just go and do, and no one knows who I am, what I was doing before, what I'm like. So I can just go with the freedom of, well, if I fuck up, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So I think being in that environment and having the support around me, and then gaining that confidence as a person, I was like, well, I can be number 1. So why would I settle for anything less? And I think that kind of comes from my own personal development through school and as a person, but also from my family, in particular my mum. Like my mum is incredibly business driven, motivated. And I think seeing her success as an individual, whether I was 100% conscious of it that I was taking in, I took so much from her. And I think being in that environment where you have your targets, you have your acknowledgement to doing well, I chased that because I just loved the thought of, I get my name read out on an email or my manager will say congratulations to me, and having that reinforcement was something that was, I think that maybe lacked through school, that I wasn't always recognized for doing well. And especially, school is very intellectual and my grades weren't fantastic. So now I'm in an environment where I can actually thrive and be rewarded for doing something that I'm very good at openly. I think that was a massive, massive motivation for me.
Yeah, and I think you made a really good point there, saying about like how you can reinvent yourself, and why I'd always recommend people to move away from the place you grew up, because when you say grow up somewhere, you're known for a specific couple of things, aren't you?
Yeah, oh, you're the football guy or you're the rugby guy.
Yeah.
That's kind of labeled, I think.
And maybe when, say, you're growing up, you change. Say, for me, just an example, I stopped drinking now for the last nearly 2 years or whatever, but I moved back home. So, like, all my friends know me as, like, Adster, going out, party, whatever, blah, 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 the lad. But then a few of them would find it hard to comprehend that I'd stop drinking because I want to progress with my life and my career and my goals. Whereas if you say, like you say, you move away on the boat or the ship, you don't have to fucking answer to anyone. Not that I have to answer to anyone anyway, but you don't have to give them reasons. You don't have to justify what you're doing. You can just be whoever the fuck you want to be. And I think that's powerful.
Mate, it's huge. I think key thing you said there is to justify yourself. I think that's where so many people fall short of doing anything they want to do, or if they change their route, or just, as you grow and develop, you do become a different person to what you were. Like I looked at myself a couple of years ago as well. I was more into partying, and we've spoken about this a lot, especially with you. Now, was it 21 months now?
21 months, yeah.
Man, it's incredible. But I think to have to justify yourself to people, the biggest thing is you don't. And I think that's the biggest thing I've learned the last couple of years. And I think you touched on there, like with a really good point, is you don't have to justify yourself. If you want to do something, it's for you. If you continue to do anything for anybody else besides yourself, you're the one who ends up falling short. And I think that's where so many people miss great opportunities, or they just do things that they don't actually like doing because it's too hard for them to justify to someone, oh, well, why are you not drinking? You're the party guy,
And people will respect you more for saying no or doing whatever you want to do, rather than if they say peer pressure you and you give in, because that's when they don't respect you, because that's when they know they own you or they can get one over on you and stuff like that. But if you have your own willpower and do what you want and don't give in to other people's words, sayings, pressure, whatever, they will respect you, even though you might not think it in the first place.
So true, mate. So true.
So moving on to the 10 mil revenue target a month or whatever. So how old were you then?
So I was 22, mate, when I took over the supervising position, which was, even now looking back, it's nuts to think, because I think I was the youngest supervisor ever in the company. I was the youngest to any other in my position in other departments by like 5 or 6 years. And I hadn't had like the 5-6 years on cruise ships. I'd literally been 2 and a bit years over my contract. So it was very much fast tracked. And I think for me, I always had that feeling of almost imposter syndrome. Like, am I good enough for this job? Did I want this job? Am I really doing a good job of it? So I think that was a really big, I wouldn't say struggle, but just that was a big obstacle for me to overcome, especially being such a young age in such a big role.
I think, especially at 22, well, say when I was 22, I still felt like I was doing stuff to impress people.
Yeah.
Not in a conscious way, but just like I would do stuff because I know it would be like, oh yeah, Adam does this or Adam does that or whatever. Even though I wanted to do it, I would like, part of the reason would be like, oh yeah, he does the events, or he's posting this on Instagram or whatever. And like you say, imposter syndrome, I feel like it's, especially at 22, when you're surrounded by all these older people, and say when I first got into marketing, I was dealing with these businesses. And even though at the time the businesses weren't maybe the biggest or best businesses, like ageism is a thing, and the people will, even if it's not on purpose, they will look down or talk down on you because of your age. And maybe they do it because they think, oh, who are you and what do you know, and that kind of thing. Or it may just be because they're ignorant. So I think, like, if someone is watching this or listening and you have got a bit of imposter syndrome, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Just have confidence in your own ability and just keep on moving forward and use your own intuition to progress with your life and your career.
Mate, 100%. I think touch on there, like the ageism thing. I got that so much because I'd be going on to cruise ship with trainers who, not necessarily had been in the company or doing better than me, but just generally older, like 24, 26, 31, 32. So it's quite funny, but I used to never, ever say my age. And if they asked, I'd just dodge the question, oh, how old do you think I'm? Oh, 28. Yeah, mate, bang on. Oh, actually, I'm 27, 20. Just because to me, it was easier to avoid that. Because the second someone found out of my age, they took the credibility. And you touched on it there, but I actually think it's their own insecurity of you're 22, I'm older, you're in a better position than me. How can you possibly know more than me because you're younger than me? It's a very real thing, son.
Yeah. And I think especially these days, say people that do go against the grain, people will be like, oh, why are you doing that? Or how's he doing that? Or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas they think that you have to be in that position for a set amount of time to then progress to the next step. It's not about like how intellectual you are or how well you've done or how many targets you've achieved. It should be a time thing. Whereas especially these days in 2022 and the 21st century, things move so fast. Like, say, for example, social media, the algorithm changes like every single day. You've got to keep up or you're going to get left behind. And these older people are getting left behind because they're comfortable. And people like, say, our age or younger or maybe a bit older, they don't like being comfortable. They always want to move on to the next thing. They always want to progress to the next level. So, yeah, ageism, fuck off. But yeah, so cruise ships then. So you had that role and then it went on and then COVID hit.
Yeah, so just to kind of fast track it. So did the role for 2 years from 2020 to March 2022, and COVID obviously hit the world, and that immediately stopped cruise lines moving and stopped me traveling, which was basically my job. So that went pretty much overnight. Everyone thought it would be a month or 2 months stop in operations. Yeah, no one really knew.
I thought it was 3 weeks.
Yeah, no one knew what was.
Told us.
Yeah, no one knew what the scale of things were, what it was going to be. So I think very quickly, as it progressed across the world, especially for us in the cruise industry, it knocked everybody for six. Cruise lines were losing billions.
Stock prices
Absolutely dropped off the face of the earth. There were, crew members that were on board cruise lines and they couldn't actually get them off the ship to go home because flights were going through the roof. Their own countries wouldn't pay for it. It was just chaos. So it really went from overnight being, okay, I've got a huge career path trajectory. There was a position above me that my boss was sort of really building me up for so that he could move on. And there's a really clear path, and I wouldn't be looking anywhere else because that's what I'd done for the last, at this point, 4 or 5 years. So that was sort of taken overnight very, very quickly. And the next few months of being at home in lockdown, I actually enjoyed the time a little bit because I'd not been with my family for that longer period of time for years. And it gave me a bit of time to recharge and switch off. And I think I was talking to you about this yesterday when I picked you up in the airport, that it suddenly became, because I'd been, Henry the cruise ship guy, Henry the personal trainer on the cruise ship, and then Henry the fitness supervisor. I got such an attachment to my role that it was almost like the job was who I am. So now that job's gone overnight and we don't have a foreseeable return date, it came the question of, well, who am I without that role? Who am I without cruise lines? Which is a massive question asked through COVID for me.
Reflecting on your experience then of the ship life, what would you say, because obviously you'd have grown as a person massively from a 19-year-old to a 22-year-old with a hell of a lot of responsibility. What would you say you learned from that experience, or you've taken away?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I learned from that environment, might sound a little bit cliche, but be yourself in every environment you're in. Don't just, whatever naturally you feel comes to you, follow it. Follow that energy that pulls you. I'm quite spiritual in a sense that whenever I have a feeling about an opportunity or a personal environment, I will follow that based on what's pulling towards me. So I think just to be yourself in environments. So if people don't like you, that's their loss. You're not meant to be liked by everybody. I think we grow up with wanting to be liked, wanting to be heard, and everyone to get along with us and everything to be perfect. I think the reality is, especially traveling so much, meeting so many different people, cultures, religions, you learn so much about the world that I did at that time. I'm like, you know what, just be you. If people don't like you for it, that's fine. But there's a lot of people that will, and there'll be a lot of people that love you more for being yourself and having your own identity and your thoughts and really sticking to what you want to do than anything else. So I think that was a big point for me.
But yeah, like you say, it's human nature to want to be liked, isn't it? It's want to be in like clubs, like supporting football teams, or being in clubs or cliques and that kind of thing. But you need, like you say, you need to realize not everyone's going to like you.
Yeah.
But I'll take a few more people to like me, so it's fine.
You like us in this podcast.
Yeah. So how did you find COVID then?
It's a really weird way to put it, mate. But I think if I can summarize it, it was a really positive experience for me. And that might sound quite selfish considering the global effect it had. But I think with these things, you got to reflect on it individually because it's what's relevant to you. And for me, it was massively positive. It took me away from a role that I thought was everything to me. And I learned a lot about myself in that time period and also what I want to do as Henry Berry rather than the supervisor or the cruise ship connection. And I think it opened a lot more doors by not having it there. So the whole process of COVID really allowed me a bit of time to reflect what I've achieved the last couple of years because I was so busy chasing the next goal, what's next, how can I grow more, what can I do more. I was so focused on what's next, I hadn't really taken any time or given myself any credit to appreciate where I am and what I've done. And I think COVID for me was that respite between such an intense work life, well, not having any balance, to then suddenly having none of that. So it really helped me put into perspective what's important to me, what my values are as a person and where I want to go next, which ultimately led me to where I am today, which is in Marbella, as we sit with the beautiful view behind us.
So how did the Marbella move come about?
So again, cruise line connection. One of my really good friends, Holly, little shout out to you. We worked together in a supervisor position on the cruise line. She was looking after for the Medi-Spa department, and I was obviously looking after fitness. She grew up here in Mijas, and she was back home at this point due to COVID, as we all were, and we're just having a catch up. And she just said, listen, this might be a bit out of the blue, but I've started working for a real estate company, Rockerbox. It's a new company they've just set up, sort of in the first couple of weeks and months helping them as well. And we're looking at building our sales team. And she's like, well, what are you doing? Are you thinking of going back to ships? Where are you now? That sort of thing. And I just said, well, to be honest, ships might come back in the next few months. There's talks about it, but then it could be months or even years until I'm back at the position that I left at. And very, very spontaneously, she just said, listen, if you want a job here, I've spoken to my director about you already. Yeah, your sales work and communication and what you've achieved on the ships was phenomenal, like she was. If you want, we've got a job for you over here.
Mm-hmm.
And about a week later, I was like, you know what? I hate the thought of what if. I can take this job now. If it doesn't work out, I come back to England. I can take the job. If cruise ships come back up, I can go back to them. Mm. So it was a win-win situation. And for me, a massive question of why not? Let's just go and do it.
Yeah.
So I got literally the last flight out of Newcastle before our friend Boris locked the country down for lockdown 2.0. Mm. And in came Marbella.
What was the feeling like when you moved over?
Well, it was mad because I landed and it was raining. So I was like, shit, this isn't what I came for. Mm. But no, to be honest, it was kind of like that moment when I first joined the cruise ship, and I look at them as two pivotal points in where I'm at now. It felt like the right thing to do. Everything around it was 100%. This is all aligning. The opportunity, the feel of landing in the airport, the drive from Malaga to Marbella, getting into the apartment. I walked in, I just thought, this feels like everything around it is the right place to be right now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was the initial.
Sorry, yeah, I wasn't on my phone. I was getting a WhatsApp up from you that I came across earlier when I was scrolling up to find the location. And 9th of April, 2021, Henry Berry WhatsApped me saying, got my first paycheck today. And I went, boom, eventually, how does it feel? And then you said, fucking class. basically made back everything I've spent here the last 5 months, plus enough to cover all living expenses next 6 months. And I went, I bet takes away the stress and pressure of the situation. And you went, yes, too easy. So that's
Mate,
crazy.
that I remember
9th of April 2021.
reading that out now. I actually remember writing that to you.
I'm going to say, you get all the feels coming back.
Like, that day was huge for me. One, because the payout was amazing, because I've been waiting for months for it. But also, that was when I got my papers. So I could officially stay here, officially work here, and there's no stress. That was an unreal day.
Yeah,
Good night.
So I wasn't being rude on my phone. I was like, to get out for a reason.
Did have a few swipes on Tinder though.
Yeah. So then, yeah, let's just walk through a bit of Rockerbox and real estate. Then
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a path that wasn't on the cards, but I think as a very spontaneous move, Rockerbox for me has been just an incredible opportunity. I think to join a company when they were right at the start themselves, because they essentially set up through COVID as well. You know, so to be part of a company right at the start, almost like a startup, is a really key learning experience to grow how we've grown in the last 14 months since I've been here now. We've tripled in size with the office. We've, I think 4 times the size of the team. The leads coming in are really high-end clients that we're working with now. So I think Rockerbox as a whole has been a massively great platform for me. And I think, to be huge on my gratitude for the opportunity is the sort of direction our bosses, Dan and Steve, are going in is incredibly exciting to be a part of. And I think the biggest thing that I can relate with the team is we're very real. We like to have fun. We like to be part of the lifestyle, and that comes through our personalities and especially the way that we work. I think a lot of estate agents, just from my experience, and it's not a massive amount since being here, it's quite rigid, it's quite formal, which absolutely you need to be, because again, it's business at the end of the day. But I think the way that we work with our energy, and it's quite a dynamic approach to the market, it's really put us on the map for that. So yeah, massive experience.
Because I remember seeing Rob Lipset, he's a fitness user I watch.
Yeah.
And I remember messaging you ages ago about, oh yeah, he's moved to Marbella, you need to get in touch. And then I seen he actually got a house from Rockerbox. I was like, oh, that's fucking mental.
Yeah, with a friend Phaedra. She's moved to Dubai now, but he's renovating the property that it's just around the corner from our office.
I follow the Instagram and watch it on YouTube.
Yeah,
so it's quite cool.
It's unreal. He's going to have an absolute belter. Rob, we got you a great gem there. Drinks are yours for the launch party.
Being what you expected then? I
think the build up to coming over here, everybody said obviously like it's about the lifestyle. There's a lot of money here. There's it's on the map, sort of Port Banús is like party central. I think for me to come over, embrace it, enjoy that lifestyle, it's been incredibly eye-opening to, one, the amount of opportunity that's here, but also the amount of people that come here, and Marbella will either make you or break you. If you want to go for a party on Monday and not come back home until next Tuesday, you probably can. And especially with the kind of lifestyle here, is to have your discipline and to really be focused on what you want to get out of it, I think has been key. So for me, Marbella is an incredible experience. I think to have the beach on your doorstep, to have the mountains close by, got a ski resort a couple of hours away, it kind of fills everything. So for me, I didn't think I would settle anywhere so well after ships. So I was used to traveling, different port every day, different people, but to be here now and have the diversity it has, whilst the excitement every day, there's something happening, you're meeting new people, you're networking. It's fulfilling to be here, to be honest, mate.
And yeah, I'd imagine it's just like the mindset, isn't it? If say you were to move to Marbella and you think, oh yeah, I've been on holiday a few times, going to be sick. And it's completely different going on holiday to living somewhere, isn't it?
It will hemorrhage your bank account so fast.
Like you say, it'll either make you or break you. And I think, yeah, that's crazy. But I think I've only been here a couple of days, but it is cool. Like, I do like it. It's got a good vibe. Say like Dubai, when I was there a few months ago, it's just, this is more chilled.
Yeah.
I haven't really been to Port Banús yet, but like, I could see myself just like walking around, just chilling, whatever, nice weather, doing my own business, that kind of thing. But like you say, it's just, you need to have that discipline, that balance, don't you? And you need to, if you're going to be here, you're going to be here for a reason. You're not going to be here to, say, go out Monday to next Tuesday, whatever. If you're going to be here to network, make connections, create opportunities for yourself and progress your career, I think it would be a great place, because it seems to be lots of money being invested, doesn't it?
Huge. I think one, from a real estate perspective, there's money, there's developments, there's constant projects. So everywhere is developing, and Marbella will always be one of the biggest hotspots, I think, in the world for property. And with that comes a certain type of clientele. It comes a sort of certain lifestyle that you expect. And I think the biggest thing is we're touching on is, have your discipline come in. It's what I'd advise anybody. If you're here for a good time, you'll absolutely have it. But if you're looking to move here and live here, have that goal or have that discipline behind you to be able to enjoy the lifestyle, but also make it work for you. Because if you can get that balance here and really grow yourself at the same time as enjoying the lifestyle, the opportunities are endless. And I think to have that and have been able to take that opportunity for myself now has been just a phenomenal step. And it's something I'm very aware of. And that's helping me now fuel what's next for me whilst I'm here, whilst the opportunity is there to be taken, to then really build upon it. I think it's a very privileged platform to have to be here.
Definitely. It's exciting to be a part of a company that's growing, isn't it? And seeing the growth, being there.
Yeah.
Being part of the furniture, whatever, being the face of the company.
Exactly. Low key. See me on the Place in the Sun, guys. Channel 4, that's me.
And then for people that's watching then, so like what's it actually like to be, say, do you call yourself real estate or estate agent or
Yeah, it's a real estate agency, consultant.
Yeah. So say someone that's watching, they might say watch like Selling Sunsets or whatever. I haven't watched that personally. Yeah. But what is it actually like to be a real estate consultant agent, whatever?
Yeah.
Surely not as glamorous as you make it out all the time.
No, I mean, look, if you look at any agent's Instagram, you're like, oh my God, they're living a life. And yes, we absolutely are. But I think what people don't see, and it's like any sort of high successful job, you only see the bits, the golden bits, right? So for me, the behind the scenes is the constant follow up with clients. I mean, I could be on Zoom calls at midnight with clients in the US, just answering questions about location because they're willing to move forward on a property they haven't even seen or been to. I think the biggest things I can say is it's there's no working hours. You're working constantly to be at the top of your game. I think the commitment to it is massive, but also that then creates more opportunity through doing it. So for me, some of the properties we can go to, the developments, it's just incredibly exciting to go and see just incredible areas, stunning buildings, and have the opportunity to sell them. So it's a whole mixed bag. But I think the work behind the scenes, you have to be, if you want to make it to the top, and I think anyone who works in real estate will probably give the same answer. If you're not aiming to be the best in your trade, you probably shouldn't be in the job. But if you're aiming to get there, the sacrifice you made, the commitment to it, the hours you put in is absolutely worth it on the end. The result is huge.
And I think you don't have to be the best, say, like real estate agent in the world, but if you're the best real estate agent in your area, in your specific niche, I think that's an attainable goal. Whereas a lot of people would say, I think this is so important for me to say this, is like a lot of people will reach for the stars, like set their goals so high they won't even start and think I'll never get there.
Yeah.
Whereas if you set your goal like steps in the way, so like you say, if you're the best real estate agent for luxury properties in Marbella, and then you reach that, and then you can
coming soon.
Yeah, and then you reach that, which is attainable, and then you go into the next step, don't you? So it's like, think of your goals strategically, and don't think, even though you need, everyone says, well, dream big and all that kind of shit. Dream, but make sure you're able to achieve it as well. But it's still like, still an effort to get there. You know what I'm trying to say?
It's realistic.
Yeah.
I think, like, I always, same mindset. I always aim to overachieve on my goals. And this comes from my cruise ship days. If my target was 10,000, my entire business plan for that week would be to make 20. Yeah. So if I fail making 20,
at least you get 15.
I'm 100% going to do 10 or 15 or 17. Yeah. So I'll be, I'm good I didn't do 20, but I fucking smashed my target. So I think make it realistic, but always aim to overachieve, but take the steps. You can't go in and be the best in your trade before you start. So, okay, be the best, one in the office today, make the most phone calls today, make the most viewings today. And just by gradually building momentum and giving yourself the positive reinforcement by actually achieving your small goals, that's the buzz to get there to the very top. You got to be strategic with it, but also enjoy the process.
Say like a revenue goal, right? Say if I want to earn 15 grand a month, and I think, I need to earn 15 grand a month. But then you think, oh, well, if I have clients pay me 1,500, I only need 10 of them. So then it's more attainable, isn't it? So it's like you say, it's reworking and rewiring your brain to make those goals attainable. So you can actually achieve them rather than thinking, oh my God, that goal's way too big. But when you break it down, you're like, oh, to be fair, it actually makes logical sense. But what would you say a typical day is then in your life working?
Very structured and disciplined with my routine.
Apart from today.
Only
pied me off at the gym.
May have slept in today. My bad. Sorry, guys. No, wake up normally 6:30 or maybe 7 because everything in Spain is delayed by an hour or two. First thing, wake up, go and work out. Monday to Friday, I'll be in the gym. Maybe even over Saturday, just because again, I still love the workout from the PT days. Wake up, go to the gym, get back. I'll go through my own meditation. I actually got a gratitude journal where, for me, it massively helps me just appreciate what I'm about to go and do by looking at what I already have. So, for example, just the opportunity to be here, that the family is happy and healthy, that waking up I am able to go and train, not that I have to, but I have the opportunity. Just basic morning gratitude to just get my head in a really positive state before I go to work. I live a few minutes from the office, so I'm normally there a bit earlier. I like to get in before everybody else. It just makes me feel that I'm ahead of the game already. And then a typical day, normally spend the first hour or two in the office if I don't have viewings, just on admin, catching up, following up hard with all the clients that I'm speaking to that are active. The ones that aren't so hot, as we like to say, in terms of moving on a property soon, follow up with them through emails, calls. My biggest goal every day is to speak to as many people as possible. We work heavily on WhatsApp, but for me, having that conversation, touching base with people, building the rapport, that is crucial for me to get the relationship I need to move forward with a potential client. So that's always key first thing in the morning whilst I'm fresh. Afternoons will typically be viewings, or if we don't have actual clients, going out, looking at new properties, new developments. And that'll be most of the day, pretty much full up from there. Coming back, normally finish around 6:30, 7 p.m. I'm always big for sort of taking a walk before winding down from work, just to kind of disconnect a little bit. And then, to be honest, for me, at the minute getting home now, I'm working on a few other investment projects myself, personally, away from real estate and away from work directly. So that's quite a good direction for me to take, I think, when I'm coming home to work on something purely for myself. And to be honest, mate, it's getting quite boring. I sound very old saying this, but I'll normally wind down, have a bath and go to bed pretty early, watch a bit of a series, just basic things to switch off.
That's what I mean, though. Like, it's a glamorous job, but you're structured, aren't you? And your routine, so that's when you most optimally boost, like, putting out results, isn't it? So same with me. I'll wake up, go to the gym, work, watch the football, go to bed. Yeah, that's just all I do every day, Monday to Friday.
Yeah, we've got a very similar routine, to be fair. I've never watched as much football in my life than when I moved here.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Say you like to go and walk and switch off and disconnect. I like to watch the football and disconnect. That's just the thing that I enjoy. Like, any football, could be Premier League, Champions League, Europa League, whatever. Yeah. Any team, just not Everton, because we were shocking this season. But I thought one of your facts would be you're a Liverpool fan, but you don't want to tell everyone that.
I want to keep that undercover just in case we don't smash it on Sunday.
We're running out of time, so we're gonna have to smash through these 3 relationship advice questions. So everyone's favorite segment.
Smash through the relationships.
This is gonna be quick fire. I reckon a couple of sentence answers. So what we do is we say anonymous name, I'll ask the advice, and then maybe you say one answer, and then I'll say one answer, and you say one answer. So a girl has messaged in. What are we calling
her? Let's call her. Why can't I think of a name?
Mate, we've got time specific.
Any name of a girl? April.
April, right. So April has said she's been at university with a boyfriend, obviously living pretty much together, but not actually together. But now they're going to be moving away, getting jobs in different cities. Well, they have moved away, sorry, and they've got jobs in different cities. She's struggling with the distance. What does she do?
Okay, I've went through a lot of relationships on cruise lines for distance. Best thing to do with that is just communication. It's not easy, especially wanting to be with someone all the time, but this allows you now the time and space to work on yourself as a person as well as with your partner. So best thing with distance, work on yourself, clear communication, and just make sure everyone is clear of what they want out of that relationship.
Cool.
Done.
Right, second one is a boy. What are we calling him?
It's got to be Joel.
Joel, my brother's messaged in. Joel said that he is very, very goal orientated and driven, but his girlfriend doesn't really support that. She's telling him, oh, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that. How does he kind of go about that?
Okay, one very, very quick answer. If your partner is not supporting your goals, probably not the best partner for you.
Yeah.
If there's a reason for that, dig deeper into why they're not supporting it and be specific. And again, goes back to what I said just there. Communication is key. If someone can't support you doing what you're doing for yourself, they shouldn't be in your friendship circle. They definitely shouldn't be your partner.
Yeah.
Bin her, get rid of her, go.
If she's like insecure, trying to hold you back, she might be threatened, that kind of thing. It's just not a good relationship to be in. So yeah, pie her off, Joel.
Tie her off.
Final one, not Joel again. A girl, what we calling her?
Abigail.
Abigail has been seeing a lad for a couple of months. She's not sure where they're at. He's not being clear about what he wants. What does she do? She's getting played about.
Listen, she's number one.
Fuckboy.
He's already a fuckboy. we can tell. Listen, I think with anything, if you're not sure where you are from your partner or whoever you're dating, if you're just seeing someone, you need to be clear about what you want. If you're asking the question, are we together? Are we exclusive? Have the conversation, but do it in person, not over WhatsApp, voice messages. Sit with it. If they're there, sit with them. Have a proper talk with them about what you want, how you feel, where you should be. That might be massively uncomfortable for people. And that's probably why you don't know where you are, because you've not had that conversation. You've let it just be what it is for so long. Be honest with yourself. First question, ask you, what do you want? Do you want a proper relationship? Do you want to fuck around? Where do you want to be? Ask yourself that first. And then you can have the conversation with whoever you're with.
Very good point. All comes back to communication, people. Right, Henry, thank you very much. I've loved this podcast. It's been great. It's a shame it couldn't go on for longer. Any final thoughts quickly?
Final thoughts.
Any shout-outs or call to action?
Okay, so call to action, guys. My biggest thing is whenever you have an idea or a thought, just follow it, do it, make it happen. Don't waste time on opportunities that you think you should have done or could have done. I hate the concept of what if. So if there's an opportunity there that's not going to be there tomorrow, just go and take it and learn from it. If it doesn't work out, just go and attack it.
We'll clip that as well. But yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, right, comment your favourite part. Nobody ever fucking comments. So comment what your favourite part of this podcast is. If you've got any questions for Henry, comment below. Like the video, please. That's really, really helpful as well. Yeah, so subscribe on YouTube. Yeah, if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure to follow me and leave a 5-star review, please. That would help me out massively. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye, 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 bye.